Philosophers have a reputation of taking easy things and making them more difficult. And you might think, talking about pursuing truth through definitions, maybe you don't really want to talk to a philosopher about this. But wait, while definitions are used to give us the clarity we need for certainty, they're also a technology for closing people's minds. So it's real important that we think through this very carefully. Truth doesn't seem that hard to find. After all, we've got entire disciplines that we have certainty about, right? We need to talk about two kinds of definitions. There's natural language definitions. The kind of thing you get in a dictionary. It tells you how the word is actually used. Then there's the stipulative definitions. These are artificial. This is for an artificial language. And these are the ones that are really going to get us certainty. A point is that which has no parts. A line is length without breadth. The extremities of a line are points. A straight or right line is that which lies evenly between its extremities. A surface is that which has length and breadth only. The extremities of a surface are lines. When Euclid says a point is that which has no parts, he's fixing the meaning of that term for us. Okay, once we have the meanings of some terms, Aristotle says we get grammar to tell us how words fit together into sentences. And then we get logic to see how sentences of a certain type, right, sentences that carry information, sentences that contain truth or potentially contain truth, are put together into arguments that produce yet more truth. Understanding logic is really useful because then it shows us how to go from premises that we have reason to believe are true to conclusions that preserve that truth, right? If the premises are true, logic will show you how to put the sentences together, the premises together, to get you a new truth. It's usually not that interesting of a truth. It's kind of just an unpacking of what's in the definition. But here's what happens then. We stipulate some definitions. We create out of words a description of reality. But what makes us think it's description of reality? What part of this has any inputs from the world into the mind that's putting these words together? Euclid's not using his senses when he says a point is that which has no parts. Or even a line is length without breadth. We talk about proof in a lot of different contexts, in a courtroom, in a scientific lab or something. The gold standard of proof, though, is geometry, right? The gold standard of proof, you're really proving something, you model it after geometry. But the thing is, it is kind of a closed system. It doesn't have inputs from outside of the world. It is a complete language that's supposed to reflect reality in some way, but it's not necessarily, right, receiving from reality. It's stipulating the definitions and showing how those definitions result in a system of truth. What did Descartes say about these kind of things when he was doing his three serious doubts in the first meditation, right? I mean, he didn't ignore truths like triangles have three sides, or 1 and 1 is 2. But what he ultimately realized is that unless he knows the source of these ideas, unless he knows how his mind functions, these might be kind of empty truths. It might be that triangles have three sides is true, but there's no such thing as a triangle, or that it's something cooked up by an evil demon to inform his experiences. David Hume makes a similar point when he says that there's two kinds of things we can know. There's two kinds of truths out there, right? One are those things that we can know by reason alone, Relations of ideas, he calls these, right? Triangles have three sides because the idea of triangularity includes or is related to the idea of three-sidedness in a certain way, so that the idea of the triangle has to include the idea of three-sidedness. But relations of ideas, while they're true, they're not exactly truths about the world. They're truths about ideas. To learn about the world, we need to focus on the inputs of our senses, and focus on what we know through the senses. We'll get to that kind of stuff soon. So stipulative definitions can get us whole systems of truth, but that truth is somehow separate from reality in a certain way. It's a way of abstracting away from reality. You know, if you're a Platonist, you might find that the area of a circle is pi r squared. But in reality, in this physical world, this world of things, there is no true circle. So pi r squared is the area of a circle is a fact about ideas. It's a fact about concepts, essences. It's not a fact about material things, about the physical reality. So definitions can get us a kind of certainty, but it is a kind of vapid certainty. You kind of have to, abstract away so much of reality to get down to the thing that is kind of obviously true, the thing that is true just because of the way the words link up together. But when we step outside of these artificial languages and we think about how words describe reality, that's a big question in philosophy, actually. How is it that words relate to reality? What is the relationship? But when we think about how natural languages function and all the various things that they do, and the homonymy, the multiple meanings that words can have, and how they can take on different meanings in different contexts, using words to get to truth, of course, is still essential. But it's trickier for natural languages, because natural languages, they're so fuzzy. The meanings of terms can be so fuzzy, really derived from reality in some way, but they're not as rigid. So we're going to have to talk next about what does it take to try to get to truth through a natural language, and what are the limitations there. Hopefully this is something that'll free your mind a little bit if someone's come in there and closed it using some definitions.